Hey there, and welcome to my talk, The Heart-Based Message, How to Power Your Marketing with a Message That Truly Connects with Your Audience. I'm Stratton, founder of Punchy. We're a messaging and positioning consultancy, and I'm super excited to have this time with you today. So once upon a time, about 4 years ago, actually, I massively converted off an ebook from a Facebook ad. And when I say massively converted, I mean, I clicked on a Facebook ad, which I never did. I downloaded an ebook and read it from start to finish, which I never do. I rushed to make a sales call, which I also never do. And actually during that sales call, I cut off the salesperson about halfway through and said, where do I sign? And I made a significant 5-figure investment in a business coaching course. Now, at the time, it was the biggest investment I had ever made in my business. Now, you're a savvy marketer. I'm a savvy marketer. And if you're anything like me, you walk around looking at all the marketing and the messaging, and you're like, I'd never fall for that. I totally know what that's about. You know, we know our marketing. And so every once in a while, when marketing really does grab you, pull you in, and you don't even realize it's happening, it's kind of a big deal. So I've thought about this moment for many times. And why did I do it, right? How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. Behind everything, behind the Facebook ad, behind the campaign, everything, there is a message behind it. And the message behind it was this: go from earning 6 figures and feeling overwhelmed to 7 figures and getting your life back. Now, at the time, I was in business by myself. It was just me. I was a classic solopreneur consultant doing everything. I was doing well, but I was totally overwhelmed. And at the end of the sentence, this idea of going to 7 figures and getting your life back was something I had never really thought about, didn't know was possible. But the moment I saw it, I realized it was something that I needed. This is my life back then. As a solo consultant, I was the one running all the workshops. I was the one doing all the sales calls. I was the one doing all the new biz. I was the one up at night doing all the proposals. Oh yeah. And then I also had to find time to actually do the work, right? I had to actually be the consultant. And on top of all of that, I had 3 young kids to run after. Yep. This is actually me. I had a lot going on. It was totally overwhelming. And so when I saw this ad, something about it just really spoke to my soul. I felt it. I felt seen. I felt understood. That message just resonated with me so deeply. I just had to respond. I just had to take action. God, this never happens in B2B tech, right? Where is that feeling? Where is that speak to my soul? When was the last time an ebook you downloaded made you feel something? Yeah, it just doesn't happen. For the most part, in B2B tech, we've got this kind of language, right? Very technical, very serious, very business, right? All the messaging that you often see in B2B tech is totally aimed at the head and not at the heart. And that is really a missed opportunity. That's what we're going to be talking about today, about speaking to the heart. Now, let's break down head versus heart. And before I get into this, I just want to let you know that I acknowledge that the head plays a role in marketing, in buying decisions, and so does the heart. They're both important, but they come at different times. So often we lead with the head in B2B when really we want to lead with the heart. That's how you really attract someone. That's how you really connect with them. That's how you draw people into your orbit. And then eventually you can get to the head. So a head-based message is really focused on the rational. It's here's why this solution is better. Here's how it's better than the other. Here's what it can do. Here's how it works. A lot of B2B messaging kind of really sits in this head-based space, right? Now, on the flip side, a heart-based message is more emotional. Rather than kind of looking inward and about what your solution can do, it's like, here's what you, the buyer, can do. Here's something new you can do, be, or feel. It's emotional. Comes at things from a really different angle. Now, just to kind of bring this to life for you, I want to just show you an example of a head versus heart-based message. Now, this is something made up for a consumer banking app. On the left, we've got a head-based message, and it's kind of message you really do see a lot. Transform the way you save with AI-powered budgeting. So it's really leaning heavily on the AI-powered, right? How great AI is. And it's giving you kind of this hype language about transforming the way you save. This is actually a really common type of language you see out there. It's a head-based message. It's trying to impress, it's trying to say that it's better. Now, on the other side, we've got a heart-based message, and it takes a more emotional pull. Rather than talking about what the product can do, it's talking about what the buyer can do, what you can do with this app. Now, there's a lot here. Take the fear out of checking your bank account with a budgeting tool that shows what you can and can't afford. There's a lot of emotion packed into this. It's speaking to the heart. It's speaking to that feeling you get when maybe you're not so great at budgeting and you're afraid to check your account balance and see that you're in overdraft. Or you're afraid to see that you've only got a couple bucks left at the end of the month because you haven't really budgeted correctly. It's speaking to those real feelings, what really matters inside. And you'll see the heart-based one is just a lot more of an emotional pull. This is what you want to do with your marketing, with your messaging. You want to connect to what really matters inside your buyer. That is our job as B2B tech marketers. You know, we have got this amazing technology, these capabilities, these platforms, these solutions, but we have to connect the dots from those technical pieces to what really matters inside. For example, if it's AI-powered automation, it's not enough to just say it's AI-powered automation that is head-based. We've got to connect to the heart, to that, that buyer out there who is, drowning in manual tasks and is not able to go to their kid's soccer game because they're working too hard doing manual stuff that could easily be automated by your technology. Our job as marketers is to really connect the dots to that. So I want to give you a challenge. I want to challenge you to always find your heart-based message first, the heart-based message behind that campaign, that content piece, whatever you're doing. Before you start writing that copy, before you launch that campaign, I want you to take a moment. I want you to get clear on that heart-based message that really connects to what matters inside your buyer so that they can notice that you're the right one for them, much like I did when I saw that ad way back in the day. The power of a heart-based message, this isn't just a soft, fuzzy thing about kind of making you feel good. This works for B2B. This works for considered purchase. There's a lot that happens when you have a heart-based message behind your campaign. The first thing it'll do, absolutely, it'll help you cut through the noise and get noticed. There is a ton of noise out there. If you have a message that really speaks to what matters to that target audience that you're going after, it's going to have what I call the dog whistle effect. You know the dog whistle that you blow and humans can't hear it, but dogs just start barking and going crazy. They can hear it. The same thing happens when you have a heart-based message. That specific audience you're trying to speak, they will hear that and be like, oh my God, that is me, much like I did. And all the other people who aren't a good fit, they won't even notice, they won't care because it doesn't really speak directly to them. It's a great way to separate the wheat from the chaff, to get better performance out of your campaigns, to speak directly to what matters to that target audience. So it helps you cut through the noise, which is, let's face it, really hard to do. It also helps you build clarity and consistency in your campaigns and your marketing activities. When you have this heart-based message, this core promise that you're making to a customer, you can use it as your North Star. It can guide everything you do. So you know what you're trying to say. Now you can do the fun part of saying it in different ways, testing different ways to say it, and creating different pieces of content to help people get to that transformation. So it can help keep all your activities in sync, which is going to help you also get better performance, better ROI out of your marketing activities. And finally, when you have a heart-based message behind everything, it makes you feel good too. Really good. Because this is why we do what we do. We're working for great companies that have awesome products that can really make a difference in people's life. When you articulate that heart-based message, it helps you connect with that. It helps you tap back in to that meaningful value that you're providing for other people. And it just makes the work feel more gratifying. It's just really great to connect back into that. So it'll make you feel good too. So I really want you to consider coming up with that heart-based message first. And it's very simple. That's what I'm going to share today. I'm going to give you just a simple 3-step approach to finding your heart-based message, and I will give you some examples as well to bring it to life. It starts with understanding your buyer's motivation, the things that really matter inside, highlighting the meaningful transformation that they want to take, and finally, constructing a really simple before and after message to really bring it to life. So let's start with the first part, understanding your buyer's motivation. Now, it really doesn't matter. You could have the best solution, the best product, the answer to your customer's dream, and yet every prospect is still thinking, why should I care? I mean, this is the central challenge to being a marketer, is to get people to care, because this is the default. No one cares. No one cares about your product. They really just care about themselves. Prospects are just like you and me. I mean, if you're anything like me, you're spending most of your time thinking about the things you want to do, or the things you need to do, or the things you hope to achieve someday. You're thinking about your pains and your gains. This is what people are walking around thinking about, caring about. So it makes sense to connect to these things rather than try and give them a deep dive in how your product works. Now, motivation is the real reason people are buying. Now, motivation are those pains and gains that really light a fire under your prospect to get out there and make a change. Because we know people are super cool with the status quo. We will tolerate our janky solutions. We will deal with the inconveniences for as long as we can until things get really bad. And then we decide enough is enough. I'm going to go buy a solution. And that's what we really need to focus on. Because there are pains and gains, but not all pains and gains are created equal. We have to focus on the ones that really matter and really inspire people to make a change. So I have some examples here of motivation in the box here. It might be that, your customer success team is swarming in help desk tickets, getting too much of those. You could have a chaotic office that needs to be managed, or you could have a desire to have more predictable revenue in your business. These are the things that really motivate people to make a change. Now, when you want to think about your customer's motivation, I want you to put yourself in your customer's shoes and really imagine what their life is like. Dan Kennedy, a really famous copywriter, marketer, he used to sell billions of dollars through sales letters. He used to famously do 30-minute visualizations where he would get inside the head of his customer, imagine what they were doing, what their life was like, what their routine was like. He would even imagine where they were when they were reading his sales letter, and that would help guide him. It would help him connect to the things that matter most. I also find that it's a really good practice to regularly put yourself in your customer's shoes and really imagine what their life is like. Because when you're busy, when you're executing, when you're writing content and copy, when you're really busy, it's easy to get disconnected from the people we're actually trying to reach because we're just so busy executing. So taking a moment, putting yourself in their shoes is a great way to really understand what are their pains. What are their gains? So when it comes to customer pains, ask yourself, what are their top smack in the face challenges? Now, I call them smack in the face challenges because it's stuff they just cannot ignore. It's just coming up again and again. So a lot of times it's daily frustrations. It might be a frustrating, inefficient process that they have to do every single day. Those are smack in the face challenges. Now, on the higher end of the pain, you can think about the things that keep them up at night, the things that, make them wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, or really make them worry, big things that are on their minds. Now, on the positive side of the spectrum, when we talk about gains, the desires, the things they hope to achieve, you think about what are their bigger goals? What are they hoping to achieve in the bigger picture? How would they love things to change? These are the types of questions you want to ask yourself as you're brainstorming your buyer's pains and gains to understand their motivation. Now, let's do a real example here. And I bet there's one or two of you who are marketing a really technical product and have a super technical buyer who are thinking, yeah, Emma, this doesn't really apply to me. doesn't apply to my space, this whole heart-based stuff. And I just want to show you that this does apply. It doesn't matter how technical you are. It doesn't matter if you're super, enterprise B2B, or even if you have a B2C offering, this works. So the example I'm going to give you is with a client I worked with last year called Automox. They are a high-growth startup that automates IT operations. They automate a lot of super technical stuff, notably software patching. So making sure everything's updated so you don't have a security risk. And their audience is super, super technical. They're selling to IT buyers. Doesn't get more technical than that. So meet Joe. Joe is a real customer. He's the head of IT ops. And if you just kind of look on the surface and think head of IT ops, of course you would think, yeah, I need to go for the head. I need to go technical for this person. But let's go heart-based. Let's brainstorm his pains and gains. Let's get in Joe's shoes for a day. Well, let's get into his shoes and think about what's really going on in his mind. Well, on the left, these are the things that are actually really going on in his mind. He does not have enough time in the day to do the manual processes of patching. And that is how he keeps his company safe. It's his job to go out there and patch like thousands of devices on his own, and he can't do it all. There's not enough time in the day. So his second pain, he's freaked out. He knows that there are vulnerabilities in his enterprise, and that's a massive security risk, and it does keep him up at night, pretty much every night. And then just to add insult to injury, that third pain, he's got to use these clunky 90s tools with these awful interfaces to try and do this stuff. And he hates it. He is in deep pain. Now, on the gain side, he just wants to automate all this crap because he wants to be free to do the high value, fun, enjoyable stuff. And he wants to be respected in his business. He does not want his name to only come up when stuff goes down and things go wrong, right? He wants to be respected. So these are all of his pains and gains, and they are so human and they matter to him. Now, if we're looking at all these pains and gains, I want you to think about which ones really motivate. Remember, not all pains and gains are equal. Some of these are nice to haves, but some of these are must have. So look at your list and think which of these are a must have, which are so important they're actually going to motivate our buyer, good old Joe, to find a solution. And it's these top two on the left. Not enough time in the day to patch everything, and seriously scared about a vulnerability that's going to open them up to risk. Now, typically, we humans, we are most motivated by pains. I'm a positive person. I love focusing on the gains. But when it comes to psychology and how we act, we are definitely more motivated to solve a pain or avoid a pain than to achieve something nice. So this is the real motivation. When we think about Joe, our IT ops buyer, this is the motivation. So you want to do that for your buyer. You want to go through those pains and gains and then really zone in on what are the must-haves, what have the highest motivation. So once you do that, you're ready to go to step 2, and that is highlighting the meaningful transformation. News alert. You are not selling software. You're not selling a platform. You're not selling AI. You're not selling a widget or an app. You're not selling any of that stuff. What you're actually selling is transformation. You're selling transformation in your audience, your buyer's life. Transformation is what people are actually buying. Yes, they're buying software, but they're not running out to buy software. They're buying the transformation that that software is hopefully going to unlock for them. They are buying a positive change in their life or their business or their daily routine. Now, this transformation, it can be a big transformation, something like enterprise-wide, business-wide, but it can also be an itty-bitty transformation, just like clearing up a really annoying hour of their day. So here I've got 2 examples in the green box. A small transformation might be this new ability to create a nice proposal in 15 minutes rather than the 3 hours it used to take you in Google Docs. True story, that was me. Or a bigger transformation like helping a company win customers for life, for example. That would be an example of a big transformation. So transformation is change. It can be a big one. It can be a small one. It really depends on what you're messaging. When I think about transformation, I always think about a drawbridge. And I think this is a really good metaphor to think about when you're talking about messaging and what you want to do. So over here on the left side of the bridge, see, it's a little bit dark. This is where your buyer is today. This is when we think about that motivation, those big pains that they're facing. That's where they are today. They're on the dark side of the bridge. They want to go towards the light. They want to go to the sun, to the other side of the bridge. They want that transformation. They want things to change. They want the situation to get better. And your product is the drawbridge that's going to get them there. But we're not going to talk about the drawbridge. We're not going to talk about the product. We're just going to talk about the motivation and the transformation. So we figured out the motivation, Joe's motivation in the last step. So you want to take your motivation, look at it, think of it as the before. That motivation is on the dark side of the bridge. And you want to think, okay, what does life look like for them on the bright side of the bridge, moving towards the sun? So on the top here, we've got that first motivation, not having enough time in the day to manually do it. Well, the transformation is now, it's magically done. He doesn't even have to do it. It's just automatic. Right? That sounds good to me. And then for the motivation about that being worried, about not knowing if things are vulnerable and that security risk, well, the transformation is now. He can sleep better at night because he knows everything is handled. So spell out that transformation, spell out the two sides of that drawbridge. And once you've done that, this is the easy part. Then just slap it together in a simple, straightforward before and after message. Now, this message is meant to help your buyer see what's possible. That is the goal of messaging. That is the goal of good marketing. That's the goal of sales. It is to help people see what they can't see, to see a change that they are just maybe not seeing at the moment. And you can do this by writing a heart-based message that contrasts life before and after transformation. This is a very powerful formula to use by talking about where they are today, worried, stressed, and then showing where they could be, relaxed, sleeping at night. This idea of before and after in a message just helps people understand where they are today and where they could go tomorrow. So for Joe, we just simply pull it together in a message. It could be one sentence, it could be two. In fact, don't worry about wordsmithing because this is really that message that's driving everything. And you want to just show life before and after in the statement. So here we've got some before and after. The before is that in the months, it's in pink there. Before, it was taking him months to try and fix all these critical vulnerabilities. Now it's taking days, the before and after. The other transformation here is like he can finally sleep better at night because he knows everything is protected. And the fact that it says sleep better at night implies that he used to not be sleeping well at night. So again, that's another transformation. So in this one message, it's helping someone identify, oh yeah, it's taking me months to remediate my vulnerabilities, right? So it's helping someone see that we understand where they are today. They can self-identify, and then it shows where they could go. You could do it in days. You could sleep better at night. It just helps them see what's possible. Now that is the 3-step process to find your heart-based message. But if you're like me and you love a shortcut and you don't mind cheating every once in a while, you can bypass the whole 3-step process and you can just go straight to your customers and ask them. Say, what was the transformation? What was life like before our solution? What was life like after? Describe it. How did your life change personally? How did your team's life change? How did the business change? That question, how was life before and after, is a gold mine. You will get amazing language. And you know what? You're just going to get the answer. You're going to find out what that wonderful transformation is. You're going to hear that motivation and you're going to see that transformation. This here is a quote from the real Joe, head of IT ops. And there you go. He says, it's scary to know that things aren't patched and I can't get to it. Solving that would honestly make me feel like I'm going to be able to sleep at night. It's straight from the customer's mouth. This is emotion. There's fear. There's worry. There's a hope for relief. This is how people actually feel. And so since this came straight from him, I know the message is going to resonate. I didn't just pull it out of thin air. I didn't just think, oh, this sounds good. Let me just rock out with this headline. No, it comes from the customer. And so I know it's solid. I know it's something I can count on. Now, the other interesting thing about a heart-based message is they don't go out of style. It's very easy when you're thinking about messaging and campaigns to want to, hitch your wagon to the latest trend. Oh, this is really hot right now. Or let's use this buzzword, or everyone's talking about revenue and we got to sound like this. And you can get really stuck in this game where you're just kind of throwing messages out there, trying to kind of like stay hip with the trends. And it can get kind of crazy, and it can lead to kind of fragmented, ineffective marketing, and quite honestly, confusing people about what you stand for. When you have that heart-based message at the core, you're grounding it, you're anchoring it in your customers, and there's a strength there. It's not going to just change next week depending on kind of what's cool. There's something really unchanging about it. This quote was from the CMO of Automox. I emailed him and just to make sure he was cool with me sharing the work we did together in this talk. And this is what he said, kind of unsolicited. We did the messaging last year, and he said, we're still using that messaging despite tons of volatility in our market, even internally as we grow really fast. And it just shows that when you talk to the customer who kind of are always there, it gives you authenticity and a stability that is really unique. Now, this company, their last quarter, they quadrupled growth. They're growing fast, and they're doing it all with this kind of heart-based messaging driving everything they do. So it proves that it works no matter how technical, how deep into the B2B tech landscape you are. And it also works when maybe you have a more, B2C play, or you're speaking more to that individual like me. And that is the true power of a heart-based message. The true power of a heart-based message is that, yes, it performs. It got me to make a significant 5-figure investment, I think in the course of like 6 days. Like that was my sales cycle, because it resonated so deeply with me. But more importantly, that heart-based message connected me with a program, with a solution that I needed so desperately at the time, and I almost didn't realize I needed. Right? I was so kind of deep into my challenges that I didn't really know there was another option. And if that heart-based message hadn't made that promise to me, I might not be here today speaking to you now. I wouldn't have been able to grow my business, free myself up to focus on sharing my insights, my expertise with other marketers like you, so that you can go out and strengthen your own marketing. And that is why we market. If you are a marketer who has an awesome solution, an awesome product that offers real, meaningful value that can help people, that can help them change for the better, improve their life, whether it's on a huge scale or a smaller scale, they need to know. They need to know, and it's noisy out there. So use a heart-based message. Help them see you in all the kind of noise and madness that's out there. Help them see you, help them find you, and help them make that transformation. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. It's been a pleasure. And if you want more insights, content like this, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, and definitely sign up for my newsletter here, where I share insights like this every week.